Kal Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet, Shavuot, Masechet Bava Metzia, like Ba'omer Sameach. Yeah, Masechet Bava Metzia Daf Pechet Amud Aleph 88a1. If you remember, we just finished off by saying yesterday, Rabbi Yanai says Yanai, and a tevel. Thank you. Skel mitzvot. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. And a tevel mitchayev maaser ad shireh penei bayit. Tevel, untied produce, is not going to be chayav maaser until it sees the entrance of the house. Shneimah says in pasuk, biarti hakodesh min habayit. I'm going to get rid of the kodesh min habayit. What does that mean exactly? He comes here and it says, this is talking about we doing maaser, obviously. So since it says min habayit, we're talking about from the entrance of the house. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, even the chatzer before the house is going to be kovea for maaser, but this is a pasuk, ve'achelu bisharecha, you're going to eat it in your gates, v'saveh, and you're going to be satisfied. So therefore, there's going to be a machloket when. Now, again, why is it so important? Because you remember we said that there was actually people, what they used to do was, is they used to bring it through the roof.
Yeah.
They used to bring it through the roof. And by bringing it through the roof, they're actually going to be patur from the skylight. So therefore, it's going to be patur from maaser. So therefore, you see, that's why it's important. When? Because if you already brought it in the courtyard, and according to Rabbi Yochanan, you're already chayav, but you brought it in the courtyard. If you're going to say it's the entrance of the house, it never got to the entrance of the house. It came before him. Okay, fine.
What happened with the marmalade?
Which one? No, one second. This is the tithing, right? He says it's only going to be either going to be from the chatzer or the penei habayit. Okay. Now the Gemara is going to say, right, as follows. Okay. He says that even after the Gemara Melacha, he says in this Gemara is that even though we just said that technically Gemara Melacha, which means when you finish the Melacha, it's something, but there's still another step as well, what it's going to see penei habayit or penei chatzer. So that's the machloket that we just learned right now. So the Gemara is going to ask Rabbi Yochanan also, Rabbi Yochanan nami yaktiv min habayit. 1 second, it says min habayit, meaning it says biarti hakodesh min habayit. So what does Rabbi Yochanan do with the pasuk of min habayit? So Malach says Rabbi Yochanan, chatzer dumya the bayit. The chatzer is like the bayit. Ma bayit, just like bayit, has to be mishtamer. Meaning your house is something watched. When I come and I return something inside your house, right? Hopefully your house is not considered a reshut rabim that anybody could just come and walk in. Meaning it's something that's watched over. So the same thing. When it says chatzer, chatzer is like the house. So your chatzer, your courtyard, is the same thing like your house. It's going to be mishtamer. If I put something in your backyard, or I put nobody's really supposed to come and start. It's trespassing. You're not to come and start taking the things. So therefore, that's why it says, even though it says mina bayit, it does not actually take away from the concept that it said that it's going to be in the chatzer. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yanai nami yaktiv bisharecha. 1 second. But for Rabbi Yanai, it's also written v'achlu bisharecha v'saveu. So if it says you're going to eat it in your store, in your gates, and the gates is the chatzer, and so the Gemara, there we need it for the derech sha'ar. He says no. There it's only going to come and tell us that if you brought it through the entrance of the courtyard into the entrance of the house, you're going to be chayav. It's going to come to exclude if you're going to bring it from the backyard or from the skylight, as you said, that therefore you're not going to be chayav in such a case. So therefore, Rabbi Yochanan is modeh that obviously it has to go into the chatzer derech sha'an in order to be chayav the maaser. But he's also learning from bisharecha 2 halachot. First of all, it has to go through the shar, but number 2 also, it has to actually come in, right? When it's going into the chatzer, it has to go derech shar and not derech gagot v'karpifot, and not derech the backyard or the skylight. So that's what Rabbi Yochanan is actually learning 2 different halachot from the same bisharecha, and Rabbi Yanai was only just learning this one, but not the other one, which had to do with mina bayit, because it comes from the entrance of the house. So Mativ Rav Chanina Chozah. Rav Chanina Chozah comes and he asks the following question. It says in the pasuk ve'achalta anavim kenavshecha. Yeah, what does that mean exactly? He says kach nafsho shel poel. Says that is the what does that mean? He comes and he says ma nafshecha ochel upatu. Just like anavim, right, that belong to you, you eat it, and you're going to be patur from maaser. So to nafsho shel poel. So to the nefesh of the poel, he's going to eat it and it's going to be patur. You remember we said the other day, that right now your workers are eating, and they're eating on the field. and then you come and you bring it into the house. What they ate, you deduct that you don't have to give maaser on what they ate. So whatever they ate is going to be patur from maaser. That's what we just said right now. Whatever the poalim eat, it's your patur from maaser. So the workers, yeah, because you're obligated to give them to eat. But whatever they eat, or whatever's left, meaning on the net, not on what they're eating, not on the gross. Says the Gemara, halokeach. But if somebody's going to come and he's going to purchase an avim from the balabait, he's going to be chayav, even though it didn't finish the gemar melacha. My love, are we not talking about basadeh that it's going to be in the field even before it went into the house or went into the chatzer? So Rav Papa says no. Hacha beteena haomedet bagina. Here we're talking about figs, which are going to be in the gina, which is in the garden outside of the chatzer. V'nofanota lechatzer askinan. And we're talking about that the branches are turning towards the chaser. And according to the Manda Amar Labait, that it has to go into the actual house, it's talking about that the Ilan is towards the bait, and therefore the Poel is inside the house, and he's taking the fruits, right? Or inside the chaser, and he's taking the fruits, whichever one, according to the opinion. And therefore the Pasuk is teaching us you're going to be patur. Because the question that we're asking is, Ribono Shel Olam, why do I need to tell me that the Poel, whatever he eats, the worker, whatever he eats, is going to be patur. Anyway, it never got to the house or never got to the chatzeh. So the Gemara answers no. We're talking about either the tree of the fig tree is inside the field, meaning the branches are inside the field, or the branches are inside the house, each one according to their pshat, whether it's a Yochanan or according to Rabbi Yanai. And therefore, once it's already in the chatzeh or it's already in the house, so you would have thought to say you're going to be chayav. Says the Gemara, you don't have to pay for that which the poelim are going to eat. And therefore the poel, the worker, is eating and eating, you don't have to take off a maaser from that. Afterwards, you come, you pluck everything down, now you're going to be chayav on maaser for that. That means, because if not, then it doesn't make sense. Anyway, it never got to the chatzir. It never got to the courtyard or it never got to the house. So for anyway, it's patur from maaser. What am I telling you? Chidush, a novelty. What the workers eat, you're patur. Well, anyway, it didn't get to my house. It didn't get to my chatzir. Answer is, no, it's already in your chatzir. It's already in your house, and you're still patur from it. Why? The poel, you don't have to come, and you don't have to pay, right, for that which the poel is eating. If so, right, so Rav Papa just said, we're talking about the tzena is also already inside the gina, and the branches are inside the chatzir, or according to the mandama that it's already inside the house. So if so, balabait, nami nechayev. So he says, 1 second, even a balabait, even if he doesn't sell it, he should also already be chayav in the pirot. Meaning, 1 second, you just told me you made an ukimta. You know what an ukimta is? You just made a status quo. The status quo is that the tree is outside, but the branches are inside either the chatzer, according to Rabbi Yochanan, or inside the house, according to Rabbi Yanai. Now, 1 second, if that's the case, so why do we say that the balabait is going to be patur unless he wants to sell it? No, if the balabait is going to eat from the fruits, since the branches are already inside the house or inside the chatzer, each one according to his reasoning, he should already be chayav then on taking off maaser. You said whatever the poel, which is the worker, eats, patur from maaser. Whatever the balabait eats, patur maaser. He wants to sell it, he's chayav. No, even without selling it, the second it's inside your house, you're chayav. Says the Gemara, balabait enav betenato, velokeach enav b'mikcho. He says no. He says, even though you're right, what we just said, that the ikar of the, meaning the trunk of the tree is outside of the chatzer or outside of the house, right? So the balabait, his ikar dato is on the ikar of the te'ena, and the branches are nothing for him. And therefore, since the branches are nothing for him, even though the branches are inside the house or inside of the chatzer, it doesn't dictate to me where is the tree to be mechayev and maaser. Meaning, where's this tree? I'm going to look at the trunk. I'm going to look at the tree. I'm not going to look at the branches. What do I care if some branches come out, right? Imagine right now I come and I have a tree in my lawn, and I've got a branch that goes out into my friend's lawn, a neighbor, and he's going to say, this is my tree. Well, my tree. This is my tree. Okay, so you have a branch coming, you think, there's a whole question about the fruits, this, that, but it's not your tree. So but that's what he's saying. He's saying that since the ikar of the tree is on the outside, the balabait, so the balabait goes up to the ikar of the tree, it doesn't go up to the branches. So therefore, it's not chayav in the maaser. That's the lokeach. The purchaser, all he's doing is, what am I buying? So therefore, if I'm buying it, where do I care where the tree's standing? Right now, I'm buying it from where the branches are, which is going to be inside the house or inside the chater. But the balabait is looking for the ikar of the tree. So since the ikar of the tree is on the outside, for the balabait, he's going to be patur because it's still on the outside of the chater or it's on the outside of the house, even though the branches is on the inside. But for the purchaser, it's what I'm buying, and I'm buying it on the inside. So says the Gemara, "Velokeach midoraita mi mechayev." He says, "Is somebody going to be chayav velokeach, right? Laaser perot mina Torah," meaning a purchaser is chayav mina Torah to come and to take the fruits. He says, right? Vatani, we learned to the Braita. Do you know that there were certain stores that they were destroyed, right? They were destroyed 3 years before Jerusalem. Why were they destroyed? Because they only did according to the Torah and they didn't do according to the rabbis, which means, right, anything which was only an Isur Rabbanan that they didn't find Mefurash min Torah, they didn't do. Shayomi, because they used to say, look on Pechet Amubet, 88b, Aser te'aser ve'achalta. What does that mean, Aser ve'aser ve'achalta? It says, Aser te'aser, it's what, right, called what Zarecha, Yotzei Sedeh Shana Shana, ve'achalta. Why is it that the Torah made a juxtaposition, right, a kesh between ve'achalta and aser te'aser? So he comes and he says, we're talking about obligating the chiyuv of maaser ve'lo mocher, right? What does that mean? And not the one that's selling it. Tvuat zarecha ve'lo lokeach. Tvuat zarecha, your grain, the one that you planted, and not the lokeach, not the purchaser. So we learn from here that somebody that purchases fruits from another person is not chayav maaser mina Torah. It's only midrabanan. Huh? The purchaser. He's only chayav midrabanan, not midona Torah. Why? Because since it says in the Torah, aser taser ve'achalta, and it says tivuat zarecha, because it says aser taser tivuat zarecha, your plantings, that which you planted. So if it's only you, not the purchaser. So therefore, midoraita, you're only chayav the one that's actually planting it. A purchaser is not chayav mina Torah to take off maaser. So therefore, they didn't take off maaser. Since they didn't take off maaser, it was destroyed, meaning it was destroyed 3 years before Jerusalem. So 3 years before the destruction of Yerushalayim, Betino were destroyed. Why? Because they only they didn't take off maaser, which was only going to be the Rabbanan. Ela rather, midrabanan. It's going to be midrabanan. Ukra asmachta be'almi. It says, really be'emet, mina Torah, you're right, it's patur. But in this pasuk is only going to be an asmachta. An asmachta means that it's like they base it upon a pasuk, but it's not a real pasuk, meaning it's a pasuk obviously, but it's not the real teaching of the pasuk. It's only based upon it. Okay? So fine. So says the Gemara, it comes out then kinafshecha is not coming to teach you that poel is going to be patur. Ela kinafshecha mayata. So what do I need in the word the kinafshecha? L'chedetanya. Kinafshecha, ma nafshecha im chasamta patur. He says, just like by nafshecha, if right now you're going to stop, right, and you didn't eat, you're going to be patur from the lav and the onish, right? So to a poel, when he's going to eat, he's going to be patur from the lav and the onish, which means if you're going to come and you're going to muzzle an animal and you stop it from eating, you're chayav a negative commandment and lashes, because it says lo tachsom shor v'disho. So therefore, the drasha from the word kinafshecha is a kalvachomet, that also a balabait that's stopping the poel from eating, he's over on a lav, just like the Gemara is going to learn later on. You learned. You have a worker, and you're stopping him from eating. You're over on a negative commandment. Lo tachsom, it's a kalvachomet. If you're not allowed to muzzle the shore, right, when the ox is coming and he's kalvachomet, a human being. So therefore, even your 50% Mordechai doesn't work according to this. You're over on isur doraita lav. A lav. Why? You're muzzling him. And that's why you have these workers, these skinny, that they come and they're waiters and they come and all of a sudden you come and you catch them eating your French fries when they're taking it out of the kitchen, right? Between the kitchen and your table, they already ate some French fries. Why? Right? Because at the end of the day, they're hungry. Lo tachsom shor v'disho.
It says you can do it.
So says the Gemara, Mati Morzutra. Morzutra comes and he says, and he asks the following question. Ezehu gornan lemaasrot. Right? he says like this, what exactly is the Gemar Melacha for the Ma'asrot? So he says, B'kishuim u'duruim, we're talking about cucumbers and pumpkins, Mishipasku. It's the Gemar Melachtam when they finish them. The Amar Biyasi says, Biyasi Mishinatela Pikas Shelaim. What is Mishipasku? He says, with the perach, on the flower that grows at the top of them, which is stuck to them when it's going to be coming off. So he says, when it falls off. My lover, we're not talking about mishipasku afilu b'sedeh. We're not talking about even if it fell off in the field. And therefore, this is like what Richard was saying before. 1 second, if it's already gemar melacha, that's it. So answers the Gemara, no, mishipasku b'bayit, when it's stopped in the house, right, or in the chatzer, obviously. So says the Gemara, if so, mishipasku ad shipasku, not from when it falls off, is until it falls off. So that's how you have to read it. So says the Gemara, if they would have taught us the words until it would have fell off, Havamina the Gemara Pikusayu isn't going to be that they're not going to be chayav until it's going to finish completely. He says, Kamashvan comes teaching me pasku, right? Once it starts, meaning once it starts, the top coming off. So it's not that each one, no. Once it starts coming off this flower type of thing, I don't know how you say it, even it's a leaf, I don't know what it is, and it's attached, right, to it, that's already going to be enough. So Mati Marzut Rabbi Reder of Nachman, asks Marzut Rabbi Reder of Nachman, Gorno, we're talking about the Goren of the Pri. We're talking about that it's going to be obligating you because of Teven. What is the Gemar Melachtan? When you bring it into the house or the Chatzer. We're not talking about when you're bringing it in, even in the field. Says, no, we're talking about even you brought it to the house or the Chatzer. That's Gemar Melachtan. Remember, whenever you say we house, it's either house or Chatzer, each one according to their Shita, whether Rabbi Yochanan or Rabbi Yanai. Okay? Or if you want, you can answer another answer. When does Rabbi Yanai come and he says this? He's talking about Zaitim va'anavim, olives and grapes. Because you never put them in a storage house. Aval chitinu sorim, but wheat and barley. Goren behed yaktive. It's written, huh? Here it says that you don't. Here it says, let me see here. No, he says that you don't put it in a kri umeniach bagoren. You don't like set it up like in a pile. That's what you don't do. So ever since you don't have it like a goren, so therefore it's not going to be chayav in a goren. But chitinu seorin, it's written in furash a goren, and therefore the goren is going to be enough to be mechayev. The goren is a storage house, the granary. That's what's going to be enough to be mechayev in the maaseh. So says the Gemara, ashkechan adam bemechubar v'shor betalush adam betalush minalan. 1 second. We just found the mekor to be mezakeh a human being when it's going to be mechubar lakarka. Meaning, if you're going to have the fruits which are going to be mechubar lakarka, so he could come and he could take it. Or a shor, if it's going to be talush. So the shor is coming, and if there's things which are plucked off from the ground, he can come and he could take from it without any problem. But an adam betalush, is he allowed to eat it or not? Meaning, can your worker come and if there's already an apple which is plucked off the tree, he could take that? We said that he could take the apple which is on the tree, which is adam bemechubar, a human being when it's mechubar lakarka. What about if it's talush?
You can't do that.
Let's see. So the Gemara says kal v'chomer. It's a kal v'chomer from the shore. Uma shor she'eno ochel bemechubar ochel betalush. If the shore does not eat mechubar, but he's allowed to eat when it's going to be talush, a human being that he could eat mechubar shouldn't be kal v'chomer that he could eat betalush? Says the Gemara, no, it's not a good kal v'chomer. Says why? Ma leshor sheken ata mitzuveh al chasimato tomar be'adam she'et mitzuveh. He says the shore, you're not allowed to muzzle it. A human being, where did you ever see that you can't muzzle it? Says the Gemara, no. You should be chayav on the muzzling of a human being. Why? It says, it's a kavachomer from the shore. If the shore, you're not obligated, right? He says, la'achayot at the shore, but you are going to be chayav on the chasimato, meaning you're not allowed to make the shore suffer. There's no mitzvah la'achayot at the shore. You could come and you could do shchita to the shore and b'te'avot, bon appetit. Adam shatam tzuveh, but the human being that you are mitzvah la'achayoto, we just read it this week's parasha yesterday. That was yesterday's parasha. We just read it in the Torah, in the Bible, in yesterday's weekly Torah portion, Richard, for you. Yeah, I'm glad you're familiar. So enodin shatam mitzvah chasimato. So for sure you should be obligated in the chasima also as well. So, by the way, you should know, that's why I stopped I stopped speaking at the end of the tefillah. When I came here, they used to make me speak right after Musaf, right towards the end of the tefillah. But they used to come and they used to have the, how do you call the kiddush? Sometimes they would have the kiddush out. So I once said, "Lo tachsom shor b'disho." What? You have all the people there. They're looking at all the food. They smell all the food. Their mouths are watering. And then I'm coming and I'm speaking for 20 minutes, 25, whatever it is. Lo tachsom shor b'disho. No. I speak all the way in the beginning when people don't even come to shul yet. You know, they're still making up the shachrit. So I make sure that's when I speak to give them a little bit of time that they can catch up. And then we can continue from there. Oh, you understand? That's why. Correct, Baba Harki. It's a good idea. No, you're going to do it. They already want to eat, right? They want al attack. And the rabbi is stopping us al attack. You know that? Huh? No, yeah, but the first time around, I used to do it. Right, the first time around, I only used to speak in right before the end of the Musaf. Fine. So it says here, Amar Kra, the pasuk says, "Kenafshecha." What is it? Kenafshecha. Kenafsho shel poel. It's like the poel. Ma nafsho b'chasamto patur. Af poel b'chasamto patur. 1 second. If you hold yourself back from eating, you're not going to get any lashes, or you're not going to be over in love. So to like the poel. So says the Gemara. 1 second. Yeah. Ve'ela. He says ve'ela. Adam betalush min alan. How do we know that a person then is allowed to eat if it's going to be talush? Amarka, the pasuk says kama shte pe'amim. It says ki tavo bekamat re'echa. It says it twice kama. So therefore, one is if it's going to be mechubar, one is going to be talush. Eno yan mechubar, teno yan talush. Rabbi Ami Amar, Rabbi Ami comes and he says there's another pasuk. Adam betalush. You don't need a pasuk. Why? Kativ etzedin ki tavo bekerem re'echa. You know, we're not talking about shesecharol katef. You're coming and you're bringing it inside of the house. Then the Torah says he's allowed to eat it. So therefore, obviously, you don't even need a pasuk. He could eat it for sure because it's already going to be talush. So says the Gemara, shor b'mechubar minal. How do we know that a shor? How do we know that he's allowed to eat in mechubar? So he says, kal v'chomer me'adam. You learn from kal v'chomer human being. Just like a human being, he does not eat if it's going to be talush, but he could eat if it's going to be mechubar. So a shor which eats the talush, it's kal v'chomer that he shouldn't eat mechubar. So he says, you have to let the person live. You have to help the person live, a human being. Someone said that by a shor. So it says, fine, but from a kavachomen. Just like a human being, that you're not mitzvah chasimato, you are mitzvah lachayoto. A shor, shata mitzvah chasimato, in adin shata mitzvah lachayoto. Says the pasuk, Amarkra, the pasuk says, what does it mean? You're only obligated to let your brother live, but not your shor. You don't have a mitzvah, huh? Exactly. Yeah. So he says, "Velashor mechubar minal." How do we know that a shor mechubar also we're talking about that you should let him eat? So he says the pasuk says re'echa twice. If you don't need it for human beings, so put it in for the shor, which is the mechubar. And so he comes and he says, "Shor mechubar." How do we know? He comes and he says, how do you know now that a shor could come and eat from the mechubar, from something which is connected? Says the pasuk, Amarka, re'echa twice. Now, it says, re'echa. What is re'echa? You don't need it for your friend, because a friend, we already said he's allowed to eat it mechubar, so therefore use it for the shor. The Ravina comes and he says, there's another pasuk. Lo adam bitalush v'lo shor mechubar. You don't need psukim. Why? It says, lo tachsom shor bedisho. Right? And therefore, michti. Everything is included in the meaning. When it says lo tachsom is on every animal, right? It's on every single animal, right? And obviously this is how we're gonna. Lo tachsom, what does it mean? He says the alfinan shor mi Shabbat. We learn Agzera Shabbat by shor by Shabbat, meaning just like by Shabbat, you're not. It says lo tasekom lecha ta v'shorecha v'chamorecha. Now what? Only your shor and chamor are not allowed to work on Shabbat. Let's say my horse, yeah, Mosheval. Yeah, he's allowed to work on Shabbat. Obviously not. Right? How we learn is Shabbat. It's on everything. Right? Every animal. So therefore he comes and he says, in kom lichtov rachmana. So why doesn't it just say, lo tajush b'chatzima? Don't plow b'chatzima. Why does it say lo tachros shor? Right? Why was lo tasom shor b'disho? La kushe. It's making a hekesh. Chosem lenechsam v'nechsam lachosem. The Adam to the shor and the shor to the Adam. Ma chosem, which is Adam, ochel b'mechubar. So to nechsam is ochel b'mechubar. Uma nechsam ochel betalush, av chosem ochel betalush. And therefore that's what they're actually learning out about the hekesh is coming to lashvot dinei achilatam, that they could both eat, whether it's going to be the talush or the chubar, but not to make them 100%, because only a chosem be'emah is lokeh. But the chosem of the poel is going to be patur, just like we learned right from the previous pasuk. That's what we actually learned.